Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I'm joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck. It is part 2 of our lessons from 2024. We're going to apply to 2025. Basically, we're really bad at taking our own advice, but every year at the end of at the end of each season, we do a whole show where we're like, damn, what's all this stuff that we want to remember for next year, things we regret, things we would do differently. And then every year, usually, we just kind of get to the next season and forget everything we wanted to learn. So we're going to go over all the lessons from last year and try to apply it to try to fight the amnesia, right, DK?
Yeah, that's right. And I'll be the first to admit that I don't always do so well at following all these rules, but it's good to have them in the front of your mind when you're drafting.
Well, no one takes their own advice.
That's
right?
true. That's true. Yeah.
Most New Year's resolutions don't work out. You know, you got to stick with them.
They only last for a round or two. And then,
So, we're going to get to all of our lessons, or the rest of our lessons. But first, quick break. This episode of the Ringer Fantasy Football Show is presented by Hyundai. Get into the Hyundai Getaway sales event and get away with a deal so right it almost feels wrong. You can get huge savings on their adventure-ready SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe and Santa Fe Hybrid models. Or go all-electric and choose from America's most awarded EV lineup like the Breakthrough Ioniq 5 or Ioniq 6. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for details. Offers end September 2nd, 2025. Getting into the back half of all the lessons we learned from 2024. Starting off, DK.
Yo.
Kick us off here. Give us your tattoo. Something you tattooed on your body to make sure you would never forget.
You tattooed on your body. Identify the kingmakers. And this is something that actually really matters every year, is like identifying the team, and a lot of times it's a team that people aren't really expecting. I think last year the Buccaneers were kind of a big one. Not that they came out of nowhere, but they were a lot more prolific. Obviously, Baker Mayfield won me a league, so he had to have done
flex
something with a lot of people. So Mike Evans, Godwin was great for a while. Like later in the year, it was Jalen McMillan. Finding the teams with basically here's a way to think about it. Find the team that's going to have the OC that is the head coach next year. You know what I mean? Like the Liam Cohens of the world, the Sean McVays of the world, the guys who do so well with their offenses. Ben Johnson's a perfect example this year. Obviously, we've been all over the Lions for a couple of years because they just have such a great, well-oiled offense. Maybe can Ben Johnson do that with the Bears? I know Heifetz is not necessarily in on the Bears this year, but this is the type of thing you have to think about before the season. Is Chip Kelly going to do different things with the Raiders? Josh McDaniels with the Patriots. Obviously, they don't have a very strong schedule in terms of like the opponents that they're facing. They have a pretty weak schedule. So maybe the Patriots all of a sudden come out of nowhere and they are super fantasy relevant. I think finding the offensive coordinators, and sometimes you could even say kingmaker is like a quarterback. So maybe like Michael Penix is this year's kingmaker just because he throws the shit out of the ball.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily an offensive coordinator, but finding the guys that are going to be driving fantasy points, I think is such an important thing every year. And it's not always clear, obviously, but I think there's enough clues that we can kind of work with that.
It's the biggest advantage in fantasies. If you can find the 1 to 2 teams that are going to make the leap, and you get a couple of those players, they will be way cheaper than every other player and they will take off. And it's obviously very difficult to do because it's basically like you're just gambling. It's like, find the team that's going to win 4 more games than they did last year. I mean, Darnold and the Vikings were, I would say, huge last year.
The Vikings might be another one this year because we've been pushing them down a little bit because of J.J. McCarthy. We don't know what he's like. We haven't seen him in the NFL. But obviously, Kevin O'Connell is established himself as a very smart coach who can scheme guys up. And it's you love the coaches where it's like it almost doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Shanahan's been that for a very long time in terms of every one of Shanahan's quarterbacks going back the last 10 years has passed for like 8 yards per attempt. It's just something that they do. That's an exaggeration, probably. I didn't look it up, but that might actually be true. But it's the scheme, and you want pieces of that scheme.
This dovetails a little bit into my tattoo, which is a new one. I just got it last night, actually. I was out with my friends.
Nice ink, Craig.
Yeah, it's fresh. It still has the little plastic on it. It's don't give up on good coaches after year 1, which ties in with DK's because trying to identify that kingmaker combo. Just because a coach went to a new team and had a mediocre year, don't just suddenly be out of them. A lot of new regimes start. There's a lot of buzz, like Ben Johnson in Chicago, right? Everybody kind of expects and really wants it to work immediately. And if Caleb and Ben Johnson don't work out this year 2 is probably the year to buy in. It takes a while for this stuff to gel. Sean Payton, year 1 with Russell Wilson, absolute disaster. Year 2 with Bo Nix, better. You start to bring in your guys. You start to build your system, implement your system. And so you look at like Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman in LA. Year 1 was pretty good, but like just because whatever happened year 1 does not mean that the exact same thing is going to happen in year 2. Like I think if you trust this coach, if you trust the play caller, like I think expecting a leap is a good way to identify which teams are potentially going to take off. It's these good play callers. Dave Canales is now in year 2 with Bryce Young and Carolina. And Dave Canales is basically the reason why Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and Bryce Young have careers right now. And they're kind of an afterthought. Raheem Morris, Zach Robinson.
That was one that I kind of circled too.
In Atlanta, like this is year 2 now of the system, of getting this stuff to gel. I mean, it's kind of year 1.5 for Michael Penix, but like they already set a good foundation, setting the groundwork. Great years out of using Drake London properly, getting a lot out of Bijan Robinson. Darnell Mooney they revived. Sean Payton, Bo Nix. Yeah, I mean, even Brian Callahan, his dad, Bill Callahan, year 2 offensive line coach in Tennessee. So I just think just because last year maybe went okay, didn't go that well, the new buzzy coach comes in and it flops a little bit. Don't take that into year 2 with you.
Bill Belichick's first year with the Patriots, he went 5-11. Like Dan Campbell's first year with the Lions, he went 3-13.
It's like year 1 of a sitcom, The Office, Parks and Rec. They weren't that good.
The first few episodes, it's like, who are these people?
You got to figure out who you are, your style. I mean, you look at the year 1 regimes last year. Gerard Mayo in New England, disaster. Brian Callahan, Tennessee, disaster. Like Carolina was not great. Mike McDonald in Seattle, mediocre. Well, I would say Raheem Morris in Atlanta, they won 8 games. It's like, it takes a while, you know?
Yeah, you look at anyone in any job, you start a new job. It takes 6 months or a year to figure out what the hell is going on. So
like
I think
names of the people in the building.
Yeah. And so I think this is really smart. I think that the question is, which of these do you think matters the most? Because I think the other thing is, it's not just coaches, but it's systems. It's because, I mean, this is why one of the reasons I'm kind of out on the Bears for this year, and I want to preemptively be in on the Bears next year, is that you have to marinate in the system. It takes a year to marinate in it, because the first thing you're learning about is like, like Kirk Cousins is talking about this in the Netflix series for quarterback with the Falcons. And this season that just came out is about last year. Kirk Cousins, who's been in the NFL for a long time, is talking about it, how, wow, there's 44 different motions in this offense. Learning the names of that is hard, getting the timing right. And he's like really mad because early in the season, he motioned a tight end and the ball hit the tight end. And I know I've mentioned that a bunch with the Bears, but the point being, even Kirk Cousins, who's been in the NFL for like, I guess that was his 13th season, is like worried about before the play starts. He's worried about the ball getting to his hands on the shotgun snap. That's like the epitome of, you're seeing the trees. Like when you've been in the same system for years, you start to see the forest of like, okay, all these details that are prerequisites are taken care of. Now I can be like, what's the matchup? How do I adjust a route to get there? That's when you get Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp situations, et cetera, et cetera. So I look at the Seahawks with Mike McDonald as the coach. I'm like, that defense is going to be so much better in year 2 than year 1, now that all the defenders know what they're doing. The Falcons are a good example, where Zach Robinson in year 2, where you're like, the offensive line, Bijan reading the blocks, like Michael Penix pushing the ball to Drake London. That to me is definitely an offense I could see zooming up. I think DK, I think you love Drake London. I think Bijan, like, I wouldn't be shocked that Drake London and Bijan could both be like, I mean, obviously Bijan, but like, I think Drake London and Bijan, in theory, could both be the number 1 guy at their position this year. Like, that wouldn't be crazy to me at all.
Yeah. And I think the other thing to keep in mind here is not just head coaches going to new teams. It's teams with new offensive coordinators. And in some cases, like, we don't really know much about them. And Craig, you mentioned it's like gambling. Honestly, it's just taking stabs at certain teams that you believe in. I think the combination of new offensive coordinators with quarterbacks that I trust and I like, the Texans kind of come to mind. Nick Caley, we don't know a ton about him. We don't know exactly what that offense is going to look like. It might suck, but CJ Stroud, I think, is a really good quarterback, and they have some good talent on that team. And so this is a team that could, be much better and have more fantasy relevant players than you think, because right now it's basically like Nico Collins. We're kind of out on Mixon. And maybe Jaden Higgins, their rookie receiver, ends up doing big things. Maybe Jalen Noel. There's guys on that offense that could be really interesting late round picks. So there's also a handful of teams with new offensive coordinators that kind of flying under the radar a little bit, that could fall into this category too.
I think Dave Canales and Bryce Young are like really flying under the radar. And
that is an interesting one. Yeah. Cause it seems like people have sort of given up.
I mean, last year was bizarre. Bryce Young got benched. Andy Dalton got in a car accident. Bryce Young comes back. He actually starts to play well. People start to realize maybe he is a starting quarterback in the NFL. And now it's like you have year 2, Dave Canales system. You bring in Tetero and McMillan. Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick for a lot of reasons that people still believe in. And I think the Panthers are just a very under the radar team that everybody is probably just expecting will kind of show up and be the same team they were last year. And you don't know that. I mean, this team could make the same league CJ Stroud made as a rookie that came out of nowhere and are in the, like, I think if I had to pick any truly, truly under the radar team to like make a splash this year, it might be Carolina. I know the defense is a disaster and that's a huge problem, but at least to be relevant and frisky in games.
That's interesting though for fantasy too, because the Panthers, you could maybe, I think maybe what you're saying is almost the Panthers are like the, if the Bengals are like the top shelf tequila, the Panthers are like the rail tequila.
Yeah.
Because the Panthers have the same formula. The Panthers give the most points in NFL history last season, 17 games, but still. They added a bunch of free agency on defense, but like, offense to Tasharon Wharton and Merrick, the safety, the guy from the Raiders, like there is no amount of like handful of tertiary players you're going to add as starters that you're like, this is still going to be a bad defense in Carolina. And so they have this formula to the Panthers are going to need you to score so many points to be competitive. And maybe we are underrating like, dude, they can say what they want to say about the running game, but Bryce Young, maybe he's going to end up throwing like a crazy amount of passes this year because the Panthers are going to be losing all these games and everything's going to be a shootout. Maybe they're just, they're shots at Jose Cuervo. Just the bad version of the Bengals.
Yeah, and I think that there's still a little bit of residue left from Bryce Young's first year and a half, which is, I guess, fair.
Yeah, they're gross. They're icky. The Panthers are like literally, we just did the part 1 of this on Wednesday. We were talking about take great players in elite teams. And then we're like, yeah, part 2, we're like, take the Panthers. And it's like, that's the art of this, of like, what is just, and basically it's 2 things. It's like trusting your gut and your emotions to follow this. And then part 2 is, can you take a step back and be like, where are my blind spots? Like, what is where are my biases kind of like filtering in? And the Panthers are an interesting one because to your point, they were way better than we thought toward the end of the season. And maybe it's just like our emotions haven't really caught up to like what we actually saw. I still can't believe Bryce Young. They should have beat the Eagles. Bryce Young, like he was that Leggett who just dropped the ball at the goal line. Like they should have taken the lead on the Eagles with 50 seconds left. That was crazy.
This is again, like there's some contradictory stuff here in a lot of these rules, but at the same time, taking stabs on certain players and certain schemes that you think are going to be really good definitely can help. And obviously next year, if we look back and this is kind of like the don't stop trying to make fetch happen thing with the Jags, but Liam Cohen might just be an amazing play caller. You know what I mean? And that will finally be the thing that kind of puts Trevor Lawrence over the hump in terms of expectations and what we want from him.
And if it doesn't work, that doesn't mean it won't ever work. Just because it's year 1, like it could go okay, but that doesn't mean year 2, it won't go great.
And so on that note, that leads into my next one, which is the next tattoo I have just across my back is just, you marry the whole family. And it's just head coach, quarterback, offensive line, receivers, defense, everything, coordinators. And I think the Bears last year were the perfect example of this, where we talked about Caleb Williams, best situation ever, number 1 pick. And like, we just didn't talk about any of the linemen.
Look at all those receivers.
Look at all those receivers that he'll be sacked 63 times before he can actually throw the ball to them. And so I think that's the one. I saw this tattoo and I thought immediately of Jacksonville, where for both these rules, actually, because on one hand, I believe strongly Liam Cohen is a better kind of coach than a lot of the coordinators that get propped up as some incredible guy. I think, honestly, I at this point almost feel like Liam Cohen is a better chance for success in year 1 than like Ben Johnson. Like I really think Liam Cohen's a different breed than a lot of these guys that just come out of the Shanahan McVay factory. The flip side is I'm like, if I am blind spotting something the same way last year, in retrospect, we're like the Texans and the Bears offensive lines were awful and we didn't care. And we went through, and then week 1, the Bears literally looked uncoordinated. No one knew what to do. The Jacksonville scares me because their offensive line sucks. There are 2 teams, Houston and Jacksonville, coming to the season. You look at them and you're like, those are the worst 2 offensive lines in the NFL. The Texans, we could get the Texans second, but the Jacksonville's like got Walker Little, left tackle, who Trent Baalke's last dying act was basically to extend him in the middle of the season. That was kind of weird. They have Robert Hainsey at center. I think that's one of those things where you bring the center over to teach the line the offense. But I don't know if Robert Hainsey is necessarily like a great player. I think he's more like a brain that's going to diffuse the information and tell everyone where to go. I don't know if it's actually about his ability to play. Patrick McCarr at right guard, he's fine. I'm a little worried about, like, you're relying a lot, really similarly to the Texans, on the McVayification of it, making an offensive line better by just scheming around it, kind of like what the Seahawks are doing with Clint Kubiak. But you're like, but if the line sucks, you feel so dumb to have the fantasy players in that team. And I will say I'm a little worried that I'm going to talk myself into Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence resurgence, Brian Thomas, and then, the line's just going to be terrible for Jacksonville. I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah, it definitely makes you feel dumb very quickly when it's week 1, week 2, and Trevor Lawrence is getting sacked 4 or 5 times a game, and you're like, man, they can't even get a pass off.
And this is how I feel about picking a winner for the AFC South, because I feel strongly I don't think they're getting a wild card. And it's just, to me, it's Texans or Jags to the AFC South, unless you really believe in Cam Ward or the Colts kind of being respectable. But I think it's a 2-team race probably, unless you really believe in Cam Ward. And I look and I'm like, man, these offensive lines are the worst 2 in the league. And one of them is probably going to win the division. At least the Texans have a defensive line, and the Jags should too, in theory, because they have so much top picks they've made. But I also can't get over the Texans' offensive line. And I keep thinking about this with Nico Collins and Stroud as a sneaky, maybe Nico Collins is a little risky, because I love Nico Collins. I think he's a good example. He's like A.J. Brown, except Nico Collins went to Michigan and wasn't great immediately and isn't cool on Instagram and doesn't get food poisoning from Chipotle, and Nico Collins isn't like famous. But he's like a bully, old school, awesome, incredible receiver. If you've been a first-round pick, we talk about Nico Collins as a top 5 player at the position. And yet, I'm like, the Texans, dude, they got Cam Robinson at left tackle, who came from the Jags. They have Laken Tomlinson at left guard, who had a terrible season. I can't even pronounce his name, but the right tackle is going to be the rookie out of Minnesota, DK. How do you say his name? Arante
Ursary, I think, yeah.
Who is 6'6", 330, and a good athlete. And he went 48th in the draft. Spoiler alert, when you're left tackle and you're 6'6", 330, and a great athlete, and you go 48th, it's because there's real concerns about your technique.
Right.
He played left tackle his whole life. They got him on the right side. So he's switching positions, going right from Minnesota to the Texans in right tackle in the NFL. And I'm like, that's plan A, is this kid has to be ready immediately as a second round right tackle. And Cam Robinson, he was on his 3rd team in 8 months or something. Like, none of this, it just looks such a glaring red warning sign that Houston was like, we have to dump the whole room. But this is just like throwing shit at the wall. Like, the Texans don't have a plan. And so so when I say you marry the whole family, I'm like, you take Nico Collins, but you turn the game on, you're like, I think Stroud's going to be like under siege this year.
Mm-hmm. I think when you're talking about this, I just kept thinking, like, there's so many teams that just have terrible offensive lines, and it's very hard to fix an offensive line when you'd have bad offensive linemen.
I mean, the Bengals have been trying to do it for 5 seasons.
And some teams get around
the hardest thing to do.
Quarterbacking. That's the argument for Stroud. Is, who has a terrible offensive line? The Dolphins. Doesn't matter, because they built it with so much speed on the outside. Tua is like a Steve Nash-esque point guard, where Tua is getting rid of the ball in 2 seconds, making the right decision every time. We make fun of Tua a lot, but Tua is making the right decision with the ball like every time.
And the Bengals have figured it out to an extent as well.
Well, Joe Burrow, they do whatever Joe Burrow wants. Joe Burrow's running this Peyton Manning-esque offense where it's like simplified plays, like, it's like you're doing a few things incredibly well. You have the rapport with Jamar Chase, which is unparalleled, and Burrow, though, is Burrow is making up for the offensive line. And but Stroud has to do that, though. Yeah. Like, that's what they're asking Stroud to do.
I think it's in him. It's just, it makes things way, way harder.
It's just the degree of difficulty is so hard. That's the thing. And I'm not saying don't take Nico Collins. I think Nico Collins, you could take him 6th for all you care. Like, he's amazing. I'm thinking of that as a.
Are there any other marry the whole family teams that we're not thinking about? I mean, honestly, the Steelers.
For O-line, I think the Steelers, you take DK Metcalf, but I think the Steelers, there's a good example is the running game. I've been very nervous to talk up Caleb Johnson at Iowa, where like he has to go to a zone running scheme, goes to a zone running scheme. I wanted to be out on him because I'm like, the Steelers are going to run everything out of shotgun for Rodgers, and it's going to be another Ben Roethlisberger offense where he takes everything shotgun, but he doesn't want to get hit, so everything has to be out in 2 seconds. So there's no deep, and that's the thing with the Steelers. You have DK Metcalf, who there's not going to be a deep game, or the deep offense is going to be Rodgers just chucking up moon balls for Metcalf down and Calvin Austin down the sideline. But that's not a real deep game because he doesn't want to get hit. But then the running game gets screwed because the defense feels like they can play up because they know the ball's coming out. And it's such a hard way to play offense where I'm like, can a rookie adjust to reading zones from instead of like everything's going to be in shotgun? But Caleb Johnson's cheap enough. I don't know if I'm out, but I do think the Steelers, they're going to want to run a lot, but I don't think that's going to be a very efficient running offense in Pittsburgh when everything's out of shotgun.
I'm also not convinced the offensive line is going to be good. Broderick Jones might be a disaster. And they have Troy Fautanu, who might be good. He barely played last year. The guards are fine. They have a good center in Zach Frazier. But like, I am worried that the tackles might not be as good as we're like kind of projecting a lot with this like young offensive line that's very unproven with Rodgers. I don't know. The receiving options are kind of weird. I'm just like, Arthur Smith mixing with Rodgers is very weird. You have to like look at the whole family rather than just like, oh, DK Metcalf. Oh, Caleb Johnson.
And I do want to reiterate something I said, I think a week ago, where the Steelers are the inverse Washington, where Washington, Jaden Daniels is young, so you think they're young, but they're the oldest team in the NFL, Washington. You think the Steelers are old because of Rodgers, Cam Hayward, but like the Steelers offense is crazy young, which makes them wide range of outcomes. The Steelers could be worse than the Jets were in some ways because, as you said, what if Troy Fautano is bad or gets hurt? Like Roman Wilson, who's supposed to play a role in this team. Like they have a lot of rookies who had injury profiles in the draft. They took them and they all got hurt and they didn't have rookie years. And you're like, they could be better than we think because we didn't see them. They could also be worse or injured. And then the Steelers like really have that first under 500 Mike Tomlin season. But if all the rookies are good, then you're like, holy shit, this is what the Jets wanted Rodgers for. But the huge range of outcomes on the Steelers and they're a young team.
And the defense is really old, but really fucking good.
Yes.
Like, I think the defense has a chance to be the best defense in the league. So you
Jalen
kind of
Ramsey.
Yeah, I mean, you can see this scenario. I mean, the Steelers have hit on a lot of guys like Peyton Wilson and Horlbeck, but you can see this. You can see what the season's going to be. Like the Steelers are going to be winning games 20-19 every week.
Right.
The other one on this, I know we're talking about our teams now, but the other one I mentioned for coaching that I think the Seahawks defense will be a lot better. But DK, the other line that it's the Seahawks. Where I'm curious what, just
new
to
OC,
reiterate,
new QB.
Their offensive line was terrible.
Offensive line. Yeah.
I cannot, and John Schneider, who just got a contract extension for Seattle, I cannot stress enough how much John Schneider, the GM, and Mike McDonald, the head coach, basically are saying the Seahawks had a bottom 3 offensive line last year. It really derailed the whole season. They couldn't run the ball. Mike McDonald, I mean, he literally was wearing hats in the middle of the season saying, run the damn ball. And it's hard to overstate how much they are saying Ryan Grubb, who came from college as the Washington offensive coordinator, like the University of Washington offensive coordinator, to the pros, was basically not ready for the big leagues. And he didn't have a modern NFL running game, which is a totally plausible explanation. But it's hard to overstate how much Clint Kubiak being the coordinator, and again, his father's the father of the modern NFL running game, Kubiak, and everything wides of the system. So he got it from the horse's mouth. But the Seahawks are also another high variance team where it's like if Kubiak fixes this running game, which again, like, Kubiak with Mike Shanahan invented modern zone running basically. But the flip
remember
side
the Saints at the beginning of the year last year?
Yeah. And they all got hurt. So anyway, DK, do you like talk about wide variance teams? If I told you either the Seahawks offensive line is going to suck, there was barely any improvement and it's a disaster, and it's just the same team, they can't run the ball, but with Sam Darnold getting pressured, or, oh my God, look at the difference between going from really bad to like kind of average at offensive line. Sam Darnold looks great. Ken Walker is amazing. Like this offense is humming and they're the best defense in the league. They're winning the NFC West. Which of those do you actually think? I mean, which way do you lean of which of those is going to happen?
I mean, the reality is that they're probably going to be bad again. They've been bad for my entire fucking adulthood. Other than like last time I can remember the Seahawks having a good offensive line was 2005 when they had
Sean Alexander,
an incredible offensive line. So probably bad, but I think, there is some hope because I do think they have some interesting young guys on that team. Abe Lucas is getting healthy. He's been hurt basically the last year plus.
People
Charles
like
Cross,
Gray Zabel, right? Isn't he doing well?
Gray Zabel looked great last night in
first round pick
action
for Seattle.
He could help certainly. And then, they have a couple guys, Christian Haynes, Anthony Bradford. These are like mid-round picks from the last couple of years that are battling for the right guard position. Maybe those guys. And I think this is like what John Schneider has been trying to sell to the Seahawks like fan base is that, look, we've made investments. We just need to see these investments pay off.
Was he selling it to a fan base or ownership? Because he just got a contract extension.
Well, both. But again, it goes back to what I just said. It's like very hard to build an offensive line. You have to kind of keep trying. You have to keep putting pieces in it, and hopefully you'll find like 5 that are really good. And sometimes you do, and most of the time you don't. The other team, so I don't know. I think the Seahawks are a high variance team too. I really like Ken Walker. Jackson Smith and Jigba, we talked about him recently. He's got a pretty wide variance in terms of what he could do. And obviously Sam Darnold is one of the most high variance quarterbacks you can imagine.
Yeah.
But the other team I wanted to bring up here before we move on that I was thinking of the whole time is the Jets with, we're all excited about Justin Fields. He's going to run the hell out of the ball. That's exciting for fantasy. But as we saw with Anthony Richardson just taking a sack and breaking his pinky, like within like 5 minutes, he could get hurt in week 1. It would not be a surprise. And then what do we get out of the Jets offense from there?
Oh my
God. Tyrod Taylor as the backup. Breece Hall from that point probably becomes unusable, or he's going to be very, hit or miss. You got Garrett Wilson, who's going to be all over the place, probably, getting passes airmailed to him all year. So I feel like we've got like chips in the Jets offense where this is like the wheels could fall off almost immediately. It would not be a surprise. Plus, like you said, you marry the family. It's the Jets. Brick Johnson up there running the show.
It's like the Jags thing that Heifetz was saying. Like, it's the Jets.
It's the Jets.
It's the Jets.
So that's worrisome. And also, like, we're sort of projecting that this offensive line is going to be good.
Is this
and
what
maybe
we were,
it is?
Yeah,
but
this is what we were talking about. It's so funny that we were like, the other episode, which again, we're recording this Friday, August 8th. So we just did that episode. And we're like, take players of good teams. And then we're like, Panthers, we like it. Jags, bad O-line. But you know what? Taking them anyway. It's
good.
All these cursed franchises.
Well, that's what sucks is that like 1 out of these 10 shitty teams will be great and be the secret key to fantasy this year.
Right.
That will happen.
Is it? So what are the facts? So we're going to take a break in a second, but what are the factors that are worth chasing? How do we marry, so to speak, these things between like Liam Cohen's a coach we believe in, and there's talent like Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence is on my list of guys of like, all right, he's had a crazy career. Like I kind of
but you like him, right?
I like him, but am I
like I would say this. I like Trevor Lawrence. I like Liam Cohen. We should probably bet on them, even though they're the Jags.
I think
and
the
Bears
agree.
are like, I like Ben Johnson. I still believe in Caleb Williams. But to Craig's point, it's not that easy. That's a year 2 team. Like I just don't, or maybe it's not year 2. It's like
Caleb
November,
Williams,
though.
but I don't trust him at this point.
Yeah, it's November. Yeah,
I have a lot to figure out with the Bears in the next 3-4 weeks.
I think that the way I said it earlier is the way I'm going to just feel about it going forward. Why am I so obsessed with like, just get in early on the first 4,000 yard passing game in Bears history? They've never done it. Like just, it's like a Ponzi scheme. It's like just sell it to the next guy. Like,
it's like you want a good coach that you trust. If they're in year 2 of the system, that's a bonus. You want a quarterback that you trust, and you want an offensive line that's decent. The Panthers check all 3 of those boxes.
I will say the Panthers is an interesting one.
An interesting call, yeah.
They had this because they've been bad for 5 years.
They've been working on that offensive line for a long time.
They're a joke, and it's basically, you know what? I think the Panthers are the answer.
No one's talking about the Panthers.
No,
right
dude, I'm telling you.
And McMillan McMillan is such a cheap relative to like the 8th pick in the draft. Like Malik Neighbors, I guess
Chuba Hubbard. Have we even said his name this whole fucking offseason?
No, he's a total Glansberg. Chuba's a good example because the Panthers overpaid for those 2 guards, but like it revived Bryce Young's career because you can't get interior pressure when he's so short.
Robert
but they
Hunt
are able to run the ball.
Yeah,
Damian Lewis,
right? Yeah,
that's a great call. Yeah, I think
this is
Chuba. Are we low on Schubert?
It's a good call because I don't believe it at all. But there's a lot of variables there.
It makes
sounds
sense.
stupid.
You know what I mean? Like their offensive line is solid already. It's like Ike Mekwonu, I don't think was great, but it's like if he can be a little bit better, it's PFF made their offensive line rankings this year. Carolina's 11th, and I'm like, you can just see the pieces. It's like the wide receiver room was a disaster, but now that Tet's there, it's like okay, now Leggett as a number 2.
Now everyone has a new role, right?
I think that the coaching with Bryce Young this year will be different now that they feel better about it. I just think that there is more going to be on his plate, I guess I would say.
And I think we can't overstate Dave Canales' influence on these quarterbacks. I know Liam Cohen gets the credit for Baker, but the year before the Bucs were also very, very good. And that's really when Baker took off from out of nowhere, from, being basically unemployed. And that was Dave Canales. And the year before that, Dave Canales took Geno Smith, a quarterback everybody largely thought was washed and a career backup, and now made him a 10-figure, 9-figure payday for him. Like, I don't know. I just think Dave Canales is not really in the conversation ever with these like guru coaches.
Yeah, and it's because it's hard because it is a little bit muddled in terms of like who do you give credit?
Dude, assigning credit is
all this stuff.
One of the hardest parts of this job is even forget our job in the NFL when you are running a team. One of the hardest things is like, why were we successful? Which people do we keep? Who? And it's like, it seems easy, but like, even just look at like the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl the first time, 2017. At the time, it was like Doug Peterson's the coach.
Yeah.
And then you're like, Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator. And then you go down the line and it turns out, well,
sometimes the players are just really good.
Sometimes Nick Foles, man, like Nick Foles just happened to like be really great at some of those RPOs, man. Like it's really hard to figure out why
it's
things
also
work.
I was listening to NFL Daily with Greg Rosenthal and he was mentioning something and this is like kind of obvious, but also I hadn't really thought of it this way. It's like there's a lot of coaches that are really good at a certain thing and then they can do that in 1 year and then the league takes a whole off season and figures out what your fastball is and then takes that away.
Mike McDaniel, kind of. I mean,
right. And then you have to fucking adapt. And the good coaches can adapt.
Sean
and change.
McVay runs a different
100%.
offense than he did 5 years ago.
This is why McVay and Shanahan are McVay and Shanahan, is because they understand why they're doing things, and because they understand the why, they know when to move on from it. And then you have Matt Patricia, who doesn't understand the why of anything, and Matt Patricia is just copy pasting what smart people do, and like that doesn't work that long.
It's like you're playing chess. You have to know all the different options of moves and then
counter.
Right.
So the last guy I want to talk about before I said I would take a break in a second, but it doesn't matter. We haven't talked about this guy's name, and we've keep not talking about this guy's name. But going back to the first rule we said in this episode of Identify Kingmakers, and this keeps coming up, Davante Adams is in Los Angeles. Like Davante Adams is on the Rams, and he's older. He's like 33, but he has not lost a step, and he has the kind of skill set that will age very well. Davante Adams is like, it's not like a Deshaun Jackson where you're really fast and then you lose the speed, and then like Davante Adams.
He's 32, by the way.
32. There you go.
Don't give him 33.
You're right. If you don't like the player, you say he's going to be 33.
Yeah, right.
Like
he will be 33 in December, but not.
So he's 32.
Yeah.
That's a young 32.
It is. Yeah.
Guys win in different ways. Davante Adams wins because he has the best release footwork in the NFL. If he was in the NBA, like it's that moment where you get you beat the guy off the dribble. Davante Adams is literally the best person in the NFL at winning off the dribble at the line of scrimmage. That is the skill set that will age way better than just like blazing speed, that one hamstring injury.
Right, like kind of running away from a corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the fact that, think about that though, Davante Adams' whole thing is I can get open quicker than anyone. He's with fucking Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. And you talk about kingmakers. Sean McVay's a kingmaker.
Yeah.
Stafford is also a kingmaker. The player with the most receiving yards in the history of the NFL in a single season is Calvin Johnson. He did it with Matt Stafford. The player with the most fantasy football points in a single season ever is Cooper Kupp. He did that with Stafford and McVay. The rookie who had the second or third most rookie fantasy points ever for receiver is Puka Nacua, who did that with Stafford and McVay. Davante Adams goes there. And I think it's one of those.
He made Kenny Golladay a huge star in fantasy.
And I'm like
Golden Tate, and all,
like barely
all these
ever
guys.
played again. Stafford does it. McVay. Stafford is we always joke that Mike McDaniel's a pass it to the Italians coach, where they just give it to the best. Stafford's a pass it to the Italians quarterback. He's so confident in his ability to get the ball out. He's like, I'm going to get it to the best two guys, and like it has just been undercovered at every point this year. Like Davante Adams still has it, and he's on the Rams. Like that, if I know the
Stafford's back is like a red herring.
That's the thing. Everyone's off it again because Stafford with the back, and it's going to be a thing. It's like Stafford is going to die
fucking
before he misses week 1. Yeah, Stafford will die.
Never heard of that.
Yeah,
I mean, I've heard of that when a woman is giving birth, right? But like,
I've never heard that word outside of the context of childbirth.
Right.
But anyway, I think the Stafford back is actually an opportunity to get Davante kind of cheap because the odds of a legendary season are pretty high.
I gave my hot take, or not hot take, I guess it's just like a sleeper pick or bet or whatever. Like Davante Adams is 100-1 right now for offensive player of the year. And Puka is 16-1.
I'm so glad you brought that up, DK. On Tuesday, August 26th, it's FanDuel Futures Day, a new holiday for football fans. It's 24 hours of deals on all your football season predictions. So you can take a flyer on the MVP race. DK's right, 100-1 for Davante Adams to be Offensive Player of the Year. I don't think that's that crazy because you're kind of talking about, well, maybe Puka Nacua misses some games.
What if Puka gets hurt?
Yeah, what if Puka gets hurt? And again, Puka Nacua, who has been hurt in most seasons of his college and NFL career, and refuses to go down. And it's like, well, Davante Adams and Matt Stafford, and he just forces every ball to Davante. It's not a bad idea. The other ones, I want to read some MVP odds to you guys. Because I think that, and again, my take with MVP is always that, like, it's just kind of, it's usually one of the guys with the best 2 records in the conference that doesn't have a great defense. So it's like Lamar is 4-1, Josh Allen's 6-1, Joe Burrow is 6-1, Mahomes is 6-1, Jaden Daniels is 10-1, Herbert's 20-1, Jordan Love's 20-1, Hurts is 20-1, Baker's 25-1. Brock Purdy's 28-1. I don't. Do any of these things
Jordan
stand
Love
out to you?
Is kind of interesting to me because the Packers will be good.
Could any of these teams get the number 1 seed in the conference? Because I kind of look at Purdy at 28-1 when we all like the Niners to make the playoffs and win the NFC West. I'm like,
Craig's gonna like that one.
It's like everyone's like, well, his team's so good. It's like, okay, well, Debo's gone, Ayuk's gone, now it's Parasol Jennings. I'm like, maybe people would belatedly give Purdy credit. Stafford's 40-1. Which is interesting. I mean, maybe it's just something about McVay being there. We'll never give him full credit.
What were Jalen Hurts' odds?
Hurts is 20-1, which is crazy
Part of
because
you know, like The Eagles throw a lot more this year. If anything were to happen to Saquon and the Eagles are still a 1 seed and like Hurts has like his best throwing season is still rushing a ton.
That's a good call because again, if you just look at the history of MVPs, and it's different now because it's not 2 buys per conference anymore, but the history is literally outside of Adrian Peterson hitting 2,000 yards, it is just quarterbacks who earned a first round bye and then take out the one with the elite defense. And you look at the Eagles and you're like, aren't the Eagles favored to be basically the quarterback on the team favored to win the conference shouldn't be 20-1?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there we go. That'll be the official pick of the show. Hurts 20-1 MVP seems like pretty good odds.
I like Purdy as well. Yeah.
What's Kyler? What's Kyler right now?
Kyler's 50-1.
Let's do. That's a good
JJ McCarthy's 75-1.
No.
Rodgers, Craig, is 75-1.
Rodgers is 75-1.
75-1.
That's too low.
Travis Hunter's 200-1.
Oh, you never know.
What if he just did it? Would he get an MVP vote? If Travis Hunter had like a top 5 most receiving yards for a rookie ever, and then also was like an above average cornerback, would he get an MVP vote?
Probably.
Not. Oh, I think
because the Jags aren't going to be that good, are they?
Yeah, no.
The Jags would need to like win 11 games, probably.
Yeah.
It is funny that a player playing two sides of he's gonna. We're recording this, and he's gonna play in the preseason game on Saturday, so it's kind of ruined it because we already know how he played. So this will be dated one way or the other. But I will say, he's playing both sides of the ball. 200-1's a little low.
I agree.
Fair.
Okay, so that's our. I think 20-1 for Jalen Hurts, though. I'm gonna make that our official MVP bet of the show because I think that's really good. So you can crown your champion in August. Pick to win the Super Bowl. I'm picking. I right now I'm Ravens Eagles Super Bowl, and we could decide the winner. But that's how I feel at this moment in time. The Bills Ravens right there, but the Bills have a bunch of injuries in training camp that are bugging me. It's August 8th, so some things have probably happened. But I just think the Ravens to me are incredible, and the Eagles. I'm not picking against the Eagles in the NFC. I refuse.
I don't know.
Kind of like the Ravens. But I like the Ravens every year.
I refuse to pick a different NFC team than the Eagles.
I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
Boring.
We're going to pick Chiefs over Eagles after what we just saw.
Yeah.
It's actually the most galaxy brain I think I've ever seen. That's actually the best thing. I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Eagles this year. That's. I'm going to take Ravens. Oh no, I'm going to take Eagles over Ravens. I actually think the Eagles repeat. DK?
Man. Bills.
Yeah. That's Hard Knocks. That's the most fun one. The Bills are the most fun team. So you can crown your champ, pick your MVP, pick your Super Bowl winner, parlay your division winner, dark horses. Mark your calendars. This is your day for your hunches, your hot takes, your calls, and your odds. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
Are you guys watching Hard Knocks?
No.
I missed it this week, but I'm going to watch it. I'm going to catch up.
Do you feel the same zest and interest in Hard Knocks that you did years ago?
No, I think it like personally or like in the water, like people watching it.
Personally.
I think that they have done a really good job choosing teams.
Yeah,
I think the Lions were fun. I think the Bills are the perfect choice. I think the Bills are the best possible team you could follow because the Bills are just. I think the Bills are America's team right now. Them and the Lions.
Yeah, I think the formula of the show I think has, I don't know, made me lose interest a little bit. Where it's like you get to know these like plucky undrafted free agents, you fall in love with them, they get cut.
Right.
I don't know.
To me, the problem is
do you feel like there's
simple.
Oversaturation with all this stuff now?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the access that Hard Knocks offers is like everywhere now. And
Right,
like you
there's
kind of know
Netflix
everything
shows,
about these players, like whether it's on social or whatever, there's other
It was
shows.
revolutionary at the time with like the 2000 Ravens or whenever.
Now it's
But
like
you
everywhere.
have all these training camp stuff. The other problem is that the real problem Hard Knocks has is that the offseason one was a revolution.
Yeah,
it's such
so
a better
good.
product.
Yeah.
Having the more time to edit it made it way better show instead of turning every show around in a few days. And it's at a better time of the year. Like getting an inside look at the Giants that's coming out in June and July when there's no camp, all the players are on vacation, like there's nothing. It's the deadest time of the year for football. It was great. And then Joe Shane fucked it up for everyone because the Saquon call, and then no team's ever going to agree to that ever again. But that was a way better show. And the reason that moment happened is because they were like they were in these opaque draft decisions that you never hear anything about. And it's way,
I would say I have like very romantic memories of watching Hard Knocks.
Oh,
like,
it was the best.
So fucking cool. And now I'm just like, I just can't get into it as much as I used to.
The year that ruined the August product, I think, was the Raiders. In 2019, I forget what year. It was the year that Antonio Brown was on the Raiders. John Gruden was the coach. And we're like, Gruden, Hard Knocks. But the teams get editorial control, which the Giants did not really exercise. And the Antonio Brown would like flash froze his feet.
They like didn't put it in the show, right?
Cryo chamber. And he wasn't there. And it was like the biggest story in the NFL was every day Antonio Brown was leaving practice, quitting the team, burned his feet in a cold tub. And the show just had none of it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, what are you here for?
Very little.
Yeah. So
propaganda.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
Literal propaganda. Next rules here. Craig, where's this tattoo out on your body?
This is tattooed on my thigh.
Sick.
It says, get you a man that can do both. And boy,
could be construed in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Yeah.
Boy, can I not stress enough how wonderful it is having a quarterback that can run. And, you know, the pocket passer stuff, you can throw your darts and you can get lucky. And I went back, I looked at the last 3 years at the pocket passers who popped, finished in the top 10. I'm going to give you the 4 that popped every year. 2024, it was Burrow, Baker, Jared Goff, and Sam Darnold. The year before that, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Kirk Cousins, and CJ Stroud. 2022, it was Patrick Mahomes, Geno Smith, Tua, and Burrow. What do you notice about that list?
It's
not
literally Joe Burrow
repeats.
as a repeat.
They're different every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible to predict. It's like, how are you supposed to decide if it's going to be Sam Darnold or Geno Smith or Jordan Love or Kirk Cousins or Dak Prescott? You know who's in it every single time? Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. You do have to spend a little bit more. In the last 3 years, there's only been 2 pocket passers who have repeated in just 2 of the 3 years. It's Burrow and it's Brock Purdy. And even Brock Purdy uses his legs a little bit more than the average pocket passer. So, man, it's like, if you have a very strong conviction about somebody being a great pocket passer, go for it. But there is no safer bet than a guy who can run.
You're just trying to figure out who's going to throw a lot of touchdowns, which is a very hard thing to do because it's such a random is maybe not the right word, but it is a highly variable.
I was surprised to be honest, going back through this, I was surprised there was not more repeats just in the top 10. I was like, there has to be some guys. And this is just points per game. Like these guys even were allowed to get hurt. And it was just Joe Burrow. And it was very surprising to me.
And that's why we have the top 4 guys can run. We have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Jen Daniels. We have Joe Burrow as the 5th. And that's why I'm so hard on Baker as the pocket passer. Maybe that's the one this year that I'm like my hardcore take that's going to be super wrong. But I'm like, Baker Mayfield had never thrown 30 touchdown passes in a year. And then last year he threw 40. And so the idea that you're going to take Baker as like the 6th quarterback or the 7th quarterback, you're going to use Baker as like a 6th round pick or something, maybe 7th round pick. And I'm like, okay, but JJ Zacharyason's did a lot of work on this. The odds of like Baker being a top 5 quarterback are like really similar to Dak Prescott's odds as the 12th quarterback or Jordan Love as like the 16th quarterback. Like you'd be shocked, to Craig's point. The difference between the number 15 and the number 7 quarterback making it to top 5 if they don't run are like almost identical. It's literally a crapshoot. So we look at it like, why would I take Baker when you could just take a running quarterback like Drake May and pair him with Jordan Love, who's going to run more this year, or they say, or scramble it more at least, or like Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, like Bryce Young, if you believe in it, like Dak, any pocket passer, their odds are all kind of the same of just having a crazy season. Just pick the team that you think is going to be able to have a good year and pair him with a runner.
I think back to, was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before when Trevor Lawrence had like 7 touchdowns dropped or like a guy on the end line or whatever. It's just like
all the Jags receivers were out of bounds on like all
Ian
these
Hartitz
touchdowns.
Does like his collection of plays that are just like that make you so mad every week or whatever. The sheesh plays. And I'm just like, it was just like all Trevor Lawrence. It's just so hard. It is so hard to predict. You know, it's a oblong ball and there's so many variables. It's just hard to predict who's going to have a ton of touchdowns in any given year.
But the rushing, that's the point though. The rushing is the easiest thing to predict because we know who's fast and who's not. Like that's the point though. That's what, like we know that Jalen Hurts can run the ball. We know that Josh Allen can run the ball.
We know how many designed runs a team is going to, draw up more or less. Like, you know what I mean? It's obviously not exact, but the quarterbacks who get design runs.
And the quarterbacks
so with that said,
don't. I Drake May, it's weird because we're at the verge of pushing him up really high for a guy who's won one game. But like Drake May, I almost am okay to rank him as the 9th quarterback or 10th just because the supply and demand of there's really not once the top 4 guys are gone and then Bo Nix and Kyler are gone, there's Justin Fields. And then after that, it's like, okay, who can run? Caleb, Drake May, maybe JJ McCarthy a little. And then it's like
maybe
Anthony fucking Richardson and Daniel Jones. And like, that's like the supply and demand is so limited that like, I don't mind if you reach for Drake May just because there's, Matt Stafford's at like, there's so many quarterbacks. Geno Smith could have a year. Like, yeah.
I mean, so, look, Jordan Love is going as the 17th quarterback off the board. He was the QB 5 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
just
great. Yeah.
Where's Dak going?
Yeah. Dak was the QB 4 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a slot machine of pocket passers every year.
That is my absolute strongest belief this season is just take, and maybe that is the thing that ends up being dumb, but I'm like, don't take Baker, don't take, well, Bo Nix runs, but Brock Purdy's all right. I think a lot of people are on Brock Purdy because the Niners are cheaper. Like, I get that. I understand why people
Purdy and Nix provide somewhat of a floor where I do feel like if they have decent seasons, they can live in that quarterback 7 to 9 range just because of the rushing.
Bo Nix is a good runner. Like, that's like, he's not, Lamar Jackson, but Bo Nix does run pretty well, and they do have design runs for him. But yeah, I just totally agree. Jordan Love.
I really like Kyler Murray this year. There was already a lot of talk about him running. He's like actually interested in running this year. Whereas the last couple of years he was like, I'm not running. I want to be a pocket passer, blah, blah, blah. I am kind of getting excited about what Kyler can do because I think they're going to have him run a bunch.
So Kyler said that this is now the closest he will ever feel to how healthy he was before he tore his ACL in 2023, right. Which leads me to my next rule, which is the 2-2 rule, which is get guys the year after they have an injury, which is like the most basic rule of thumb. And it's a rule of thumb. Sometimes it depends on a lot of factors of what the injury is, when it happened, all that stuff. But generally speaking, there is like this crazy consistent pattern with fantasy football where a guy gets hurt and tears his ACL or something. And then the next year he comes back and like, back in September or maybe in October. And he comes back and people are like, this guy sucks. And then don't realize that if you've had an injury, like you realize there is a gap between when you are physically able, healthy enough to return to an NFL field. And again, it's not walking around like it's your life. It's like 100th percentile athleticism. But there's a gap between your brain trusts you to perform these 100th percentile athletic feats. Your brain it's like a governor on a car, like or a go-kart or whatever.
Right.
Like they're withholding you from going as fast as you can. Your brain's like, no, we're going to fucking get hurt again. I'm not ready. And there is a 2 or 3 month process that it takes you to feel. So what ends up happening is it takes a couple seasons later for the player to get back to full health. And then they're a discount. We see this year after year after year after year. Kyler's a good example of it. If like Kyler's like, I feel great now. I can't even list all the examples.
I think it's kind of hard sometimes. Or maybe I'm giving ourselves credit for doing this, but like because it's so easy to be like, oh, he's just never going to be as fast as he was before after an injury. I think sometimes we make that assumption, and then a year later they're back to what they were before, and we're like, oh, probably should have guessed that. Because I feel like sometimes when a guy is coming back from an injury, he doesn't look right, and this is like the Breece Hall thing, Craig.
And we're like, he's broke forever.
We're like, he's got no juice, he sucks, he's cooked or whatever, and I'm like, he was hurt. Yeah. And I think it makes us forget how good a player is. Now, that's not to say that Breece Hall is going to go back to where he was before, because a lot of players are just never as fast as they were before after a major injury.
He was, for the record, Breece Hall is allowed to be hurt and look worse because he was hurt. I was upset because nobody knew he was hurt.
And no one said anything until after the year. I feel like we sometimes just don't talk about the fact that these guys were playing through injuries. Like we just sort of ignore that part.
Everyone's hurt.
Yeah.
And so a list of guys, and again, it's not as simple as just, well, they got hurt in 2023, so they'll be better in 2025. It's not that simple. Sometimes, but we can go into it if you guys want, but for a variety of reasons, players who I think will be better in 2025 because of a lack of understanding around their injuries. I've talked about Deebo Samuel, who had pneumonia last year, and everyone's like citing his yards per catch and yards after the catch as if I give a fuck about his pneumoniya numbers. I'm like, he was playing football after he was hospitalized.
Craig just yells fat.
Fuck you, Craig. God damn it.
No, I love how reductive everybody is. I was like, fat, he's fat.
I just had like flashbacks to middle school there. Yeah.
Deebo was hospitalized for pneumonia, played 4 days later, and people were on the internet.
I, of all people, should understand this. Yeah.
Yeah. Washed and fat.
I had pneumonia. It was the worst I've ever felt in my life.
No, he's old, washed, and fat.
Yeah, he's washed, fat.
Washed.
I love people just like making these grand assumptions just out of
dust.
nothing. There's like one video of him fat washed.
Other guys that I think are just people think are bad, but were hurt. Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed for the Packers is my guy this year. I'm not saying he's going to be the number one receiver in fantasy football, but I just think he was injured all year, and people are like, he rotates in. He's blah 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 blah. I'm like, he is.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't know he was hurt. What happened?
He's hurt all year. He had his ankle thing. He was hurt like all. He played through it. This is the Mark
this
Cooper
is
thing.
what I'm saying. I always we immediately just don't remember that they were
tattoo
hurt.
on yourself, DK. That Jaden Reed was hurt last year.
This is the Amari Cooper thing. Amari Cooper plays through injuries, so you think he's not as good as he is. He just never not. He just other guys wouldn't have suited up. TJ Hawkinson is just back. I think that he was back in December. The numbers don't bear it out, but I'm like, he will be better when week one. People will be like, TJ Hawkinson, wow, like he towards ACL and wasn't himself last year, and he will be himself this year. I'm very confident in that one. The other one. This is the most controversial one. Not exactly a 2-2 rule, but someone who was injured, and now we have the ick, and then we're like, oh, Christian McCaffrey, because we are so terrified.
The most complicated player
of the Achilles tendonitis
right now.
He didn't play he didn't take 400 tackles last year like Saquon Barkley. So the idea that he's a bigger injury risk than Saquon is frankly probably a fear and anxiety we have in our minds. In reality, he got to rest his fucking body all God. Like he's been training. He's been like we literally have done this with McCaffrey already.
It's so hard because everyone's fucking tearing their Achilles right now. It's an epidemic in Achilles injuries.
It's creating a panic, but that's what I'm saying. There's a buy low opportunity here where it's like everyone's so afraid with McCaffrey. But when he plays, he's basically the best running back in the history of fantasy football, probably since LaDainian Tomlinson.
He's like having two players in one spot.
Yeah. And
would you feel more confident in Christian McCaffrey this year if what happened last year happened, or if he had 482 touches last year?
I
would be way more. I'm way more nervous about last year.
You're more nervous because because the Achilles thing is like, oh, so if he has this, he could just move weird and like his career's over.
He could try and take a step and then his Achilles tendon will pop. Yeah, that sounds not great.
But I think that the touch, like we literally have done this with him already.
I'm only asking because Heifetz is like, he didn't take any hits last year. Like you could argue, and I'm like, well, would you prefer he did take 482 hits?
Well, but this is what I'm saying. But this is what I'm saying. We've done this with him in his career. Like in 2019, he had like this dominant league winning season. If you had McCaffrey in 2019, you had a 50% chance to make your
great year.
2020,
he also wasn't an early round pick that year. You get him like the third round.
15th. He had 400 touches that year. The next year he plays 3 games. And then we're idiots. We make him the number one pick again, and he gets hurt again. He plays 7 games. Like, that's not great. Then what happens in 2022? We've just
done this a lot with him. Yeah.
Yeah, 2022.
And he get the vasectomy reversed.
Yeah. He falls in 2022.
Snap.
2022, he's literally does the Saquon. He's the best player in fantasy football, goes to the Super Bowl, and like should have won the Super Bowl. And then you know what I mean? Like we've been here before.
I think personally,
sorry, 2023.
It's less that he missed time last year and more that it was because of an Achilles injury. I think the Achilles injury is the boogeyman. It's scary as fuck.
It's scary, but I'm just saying
you can pop that thing just taking a step. Like I know that knees are also just go out when you play.
No, you're 100% right, DK.
Yeah.
We are in an Achilles moment right now.
Right.
I don't know why, but everyone is popping. Like 4 NBA players pop their Achilles in this playoffs.
We got to have somebody do a study.
But here's
about
this.
Yeah.
I just keep coming back to he's going to play 90+% of snaps for the 49ers every game. Which isn't even a debate because last year when he came back, they gave him 90% of snaps. And I'm just saying, until he tears this Achilles, we're going to rank him first or second. It's going to be McCaffrey and Saquon are they not going to be the top 2 guys? When we put our weekly rankings, which we have weekly rankings every week at fantasyfootball.theringer.com, every week he's going to be first or second. And then at some point, if you make it 14 weeks in and he hasn't popped this fucking Achilles yet, you're like, holy fucking shit, I guess I should have took Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm just saying.
No, you're right. I agree with you. I think there's 2 things. One, the value is starting to disappear because he's creeping in earlier and earlier into the first round. And then it's like, okay, so at what point should I just take Jahmyr Gibbs, who doesn't have Achilles tendonitis in both legs?
That's totally chill.
Bilateral, by the way. Yeah.
Bilateral. What was my second point? Oh, it was good. Damn it. I lost it.
I fucked it up. Sorry.
No, it's totally fine.
Well, you'll feel stupid. That's the problem. You'll feel really dumb.
Yeah.
But the only thing I want to say about the injuries is I'm making this rule again for players who are hurt this year. If there is a guy, because how many times do we on Sundays get questions from people like, hey, Christian McCaffrey or Breece Hall is a game time decision, and like they're gonna give it a go on Sunday, and like they're gonna. And I have a new
give
rule.
it a go is my least
literally
favorite.
every single time. My answer will be. I think it's going to be the same. If the team themselves does not know if the guy's healthy enough when they wake up on Sunday morning to play, like you have to watch him play, he should not be in your lineup.
Yeah.
Because clearly he's not 100%. If he's not even close to 100%, or else they put him in the fucking game.
If the team is using warm-ups to determine whether a player can play, please stop asking us if you should start it. How about that for a rule?
I'm reading the same thing you are, but
the
have
team
never
doesn't know
known.
if
We
he's
have-
going to play or not. Why would I know what he's going to do?
I'm
Sean
also
McVay-
reading that blurb.
Sean McVay's like watching Kyron Williams and like seeing how he cuts, and I'm like, I also don't know if this guy's going to play well today.
So funny.
You fucked me. It's like, how am I supposed to fucking know? The team doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Yeah, so that's my new rules. I'm just never going to tell you to play a guy that was at 11:30 in the morning. Just play him 2-2. Play him next week.
Yeah. It's also a way worse feeling when you start the guy who's going to give it a go and then he like doesn't play than it is to where you don't start him, then he goes off. At least you're like, all right, at least like my guy's healthy and playing well.
You don't start him, he goes off, you're like, okay, cool, I'll definitely play him next week. I wish I'd played him. Whereas if you feel like a fucking moron when you play someone with an ankle injury and then they get one catch for 9 yards.
Dove, do not eat.
Dead dove, do not eat. I don't know what I expected. God,
it's halfway through the first quarter and you know,
he takes one hit and he's out for the
Kevin
rest of the game.
Burkhardt's like, yep, Brock Bowers is out for the rest of the game. You're like, God,
and the broadcast always has information that they weren't allowed to tell you. They're like, yeah, actually, it's funny. It turns out he actually broke his leg and he's trying to play through the pain. He's getting cortisone injections. Like it's
we were in
way worse
meetings
than
with
they made
him
it sound.
all week, and he was writhing in pain.
Yeah.
They wanted to put him on IR. He wouldn't go. Anyway, all right, Craig, you got anything else on the injuries front? Injury-related tattoos?
Injuries?
Or tutu. Anything tutu related?
Well, it's funny. McCaffrey's not tutu. This is not year 2 after the injury. It's year 1.
I agree. I think it's just that one is it's related to. I just think the overall thing is people are wrong about injuries a lot. McCaffrey's not quite 2 years later. It's just,
you know, the only one that I am willing to overlook is Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice got hurt in week 3 last year, and he's going to get suspended probably for like 3-4 games. So I'm like, all right, you know, he's
wrongs can make a right.
Well, I'm like, he's going to get a full year before he plays in an NFL game. And for how he has looked in the offseason, maybe I'm just falling into the trap, but for some reason, I do feel a little bit more confident that Rashee Rice will be able to get back to that pre-injury form this year.
Yeah, that one's weird because
sure feels like you're falling into the trap.
Yeah,
Heifetz, that my fault. Should you not take
I feel
Rashee
better about Rashee Rice than other players, but also he's going to have the ramp. Like they usually would come back around week 5 or 6 if it's not going great. He's going to start then, so I think it probably helps. He's probably on a better time.
I saw him running the ladder drill. He looks really fast.
Oh, you could also.
So that's great.
I saw Alec Io-Minor run a route against.
You're like, I'm in.
An assistant coach, and it looked good.
Guy, football player looks fast.
Assistant coach.
It looked good. Against a man wearing pants, but man, that looked good.
Speaking of that, that's a good segue. Hold on to rookie wide receivers. Every year, rookie wide receivers, in particular in the second half of the year, come on really strong. It happens. I think it's happened every year for the last like 3 or 4 years, 5 years plus, where, you know, a guy that kind of starts a little bit slow ends up being a top 12, top 10 type receiver down the stretch. You go back, let's see, 2020 it was Justin Jefferson. 2021 it was Jalen Waddle. 2022 Garrett Wilson and Christian Watson both went off in the second half. 2023 Rashee Rice, just mentioned him. Puka Nacua, Jaden Reed, and Tank Dell were all top 14 receivers in points per game. And then last year, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, and Jalen McMillan all were very usable in fantasy. So I think the point here is, and obviously it depends on the depth of your bench and everything, but like if your rookie wide receiver kind of starts a little bit slow, don't give up right away.
Yeah,
because generally speaking, these guys come back with a vengeance in the second half of the year once they kind of like learn the nuances of the offense, gain the quarterback's trust, all that stuff, gain the coach's trust in terms of like running the most important route. So this year, again, we don't know who it's going to be, but I think there's plenty of really interesting options here. Travis Hunter, Ted McMillan, Emeka Buka, who I really like, Matthew Golden. hearing a lot of really good things about Matthew Golden
I
right
like
now.
Matthew Golden.
It sounds like he's running with the starters in 12 personnel, which is basically when they have 2 receivers on the field. He's out there. So he's going to be running, but he's going to be running more routes than Jaden Reed, who I think we all like him as a talent, but he's going to be out there a lot. Matthew Golden is.
I think Matthew Golden's going to get the Miami treatment. With McDaniel has all those motions. I think the Packers are going to use Matthew Golden and get him running full speed at the snap and just do crazy shit with him.
It sounds like he's doing big things at camp. Making some miraculous
He's a 4.2
catches.
guy, right? Like a 4.28, 4.2.
He's a
Yeah,
4.3
he ran
speed.
really fast.
He wanted to beat Xavier Worthy's thing, but like literally Matthew Golden, like that Seinfeld joke, my mother was a mother. My mother, like Matthew Golden's mother was a track star. I think his grandmother was a track star. Like he's just track is in Golden's family, but he also knows how to play receiver. Most of those track guys have no touch or feel. Golden has the track
he's
speed,
a football
but
player. Yeah,
he like can use tempo with routes. It's not, it's like not Anthony Richardson just throwing all his throws at one speed. Like Golden, I like Golden a lot for Green Bay.
Who did he remind me of? Shoot, I'm blanking.
You had him
on
as
who
Airbud Golden receiver, and then you decided
yeah,
to come
that
up with
doesn't help.
like a real comp.
I'll holler it out if I remember. I think a couple other guys to keep in mind here that are really interesting: Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins, and Jalen Noel. Noel
Burden, so Burden Chicago, and then Higgins and Jalen Noel are on the
Noel.
Texans.
Yeah,
Jalen Noel.
It's hard. It's spelled Noel, but I think it's pronounced Noel.
But they're both on Houston.
Kyle Williams for the Pats is an interesting sleeper. Elik Aomanar.
I like that guy.
I like him too.
And those guys, realistically, we're not going to draft. If you're in Dynasty or something, but we're not going to draft because Aomanar, like those are waiver ads. But I think these top guys, I think are because they're first round picks. Travis Hunter, Tetsuroa McMillan. I mean, those guys are going high. Ibuka, Golden. I think like the guys taken in the top 50, I think have the hit rate's like 50%.
Also, this sick route that Aomanar ran was not against an assistant coach. It was against a Buccaneers cornerback. So
even better.
Woo!
DK, if you had to pick one of these guys to be good, immediately stretch to run, which is it? And then one guy to come on late.
Immediately, Egbuka.
For the
and
Bucs.
then, I mean, outside of Tet McMillan, who I think is, I mean, he's going high enough that it's not like necessarily he's not a secret or anything. And then like second half of the year, Higgins and Noel for Texans kind of stand out to me as like guys that might take a little bit to get in, but by the second half of the year are, the number 2 receiver on the team. Those guys kind of stick out to me. And then Burden is a wild card.
Thirst trap.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen with him? There's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, and we don't know if the offense is going to be any good. But the talent is clearly there. It's an ick to me. We mentioned this the other day that he has 87 as his number. Hopefully he changes that before the year.
I like it. It's old school. Old school guy.
I do too.
I like Ibuka. I like Ibuka a lot. Okay, TK, another tattoo here.
This is going the opposite way. This is Ride with the Wild Hogs. One of my favorite movies in theory that I've never seen. Wild Hogs.
The fuck, you gotta watch
guys.
Wild Hogs.
I know, I do need to watch it.
It's a good movie.
I think the thought that keeps coming to my mind when it comes to just the NFL in general, but especially with this rule, it takes a lot more than you think to unseat a savvy veteran in an offense. Coaches trust him. They know exactly, quarterbacks trust him. They know exactly where to be in every situation. I think James Conner is like a perfect example of this. He's been around. He's going to pick up the blitz. He's great in the passing game. He breaks a ton of tackles. He's going to protect the quarterback. He does everything. He makes the right reads in terms of where he's supposed to run, all that stuff. He might not be super fast anymore, but he's just a really good player. And obviously, like, I was a big fan of the guy that they drafted now, whose name I'm forgetting, which I guess is pretty
Trey
apt.
Benson.
Trey Benson. I was a big fan of him, but like Benson's a rookie, probably making a lot of mistakes in practice. It just takes a lot to unseat a guy like James Conner, even though he's older and not as explosive. Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Derrick Henry, James Conner, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones. These guys are all going to put up big points in fantasy. I think just ride them till the wheels fall off, honestly. Zach Ertz is still out here fucking making plays.
Can I pilot
and I
something?
thought he retired like 6 years ago.
Can I pilot something to you guys that maybe should have been an entire episode instead of me burying this like an hour into this episode? I kind of think my signature draft strategy this year, I'm soft launching it, might be,
okay.
I think I want to combine the last 2 rules DK said. Veterans that are hard to unseat in their 30s.
Medium age.
Old and young.
So the first 8 or
so
9
no
rounds,
guys in their prime.
No, I'm saying that's the market inefficiency. No one in their prime.
That's so fucking good.
The soon to be dead and the newly bred, baby. I'm just saying.
Oh
you can
my
start.
God.
You can
25-year-olds, we're out.
You could get,
No,
do you know how easily you could get your running backs to be like Derrick Henry and James Conner?
Oh my
Your
God.
receivers are Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams,
Yep.
Mike
Yep.
Evans, and Calvin Ridley. You can get
Yep.
Travis Kelce at tight end. However, then all your
So-
bench is
that's such a
youth. When they
good
get hurt
catchphrase.
later, your bench is the Matthew Goldens, the Luther Burdens, the
No,
Trey Benson, like all
look.
the young guys. I call it the Belichick. It's all olds and youngs. It's like the oldest
The
possible
Belichick.
and the youngest possible
Yeah.
people.
The
together.
May December team.
Yes, it's the Belichick system.
Heifetz, if you tweak it a little bit, it's great. Basically, I would say outside of the first 2 rounds, then switch to the old and young only. First 2 rounds, it's like, all right, I'm not going to not take Jamar Chase.
pass
or
No,
That's
take
too much.
Nico
even the
Collins.
first 2 rounds, it works. I'll take Derrick Henry and Ashton Genty. It's done. Easy. Henry and Genty, olds and youngs together.
Those are your only 2 options, though. But I guess
I'm just saying, Henry and Genty, and then you get Devontae, you got Tyreek.
This is the funniest theory
Belichick
I've
I
ever
I like
heard.
it though. I think
Yeah.
once you get into like rounds 3, 4, and beyond, old and young.
I'm telling you.
This is
Come
really
around,
funny.
you'll take Calvin Ridley and Ted McMillan. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's gonna work.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, it's like DK Metcalf 27. Nah.
No.
All these mid-round guys, DJ Moores. I don't want any of that.
In all seriousness, though, I know it sounds like a bit, and it kind of is, but I have an actual theory to it, which is simply put, people in their prime are properly priced.
Yeah, they're overlooked. They're young and old.
Guys who are 30 are improperly priced because there's an assumption they're going to fall off, and if they don't, you profit massive. It's that simple. Derrick Henry not falling off is wrongly priced. His
Right.
fall off is built in. People
Yeah.
in the prime are priced right. Rookies, not. So what you're saying is if rookies do develop faster, that's all you need to have a crazy value. In the older guys, as long as they don't fall off, like if Mike Evans doesn't fall off, he's just priced wrong. He should be more expensive. We're just afraid of taking
You're
Mike
just
Evans
saying
after he had a hamstring
don't
injury.
buy at the peak.
It's
forever.
really mostly like about the old people because I do think like it is kind of consensus now that it's like you got to draft the rookies. The rookies are underpriced. Hold on to the
You
rookies.
think so?
But
But
no,
Matthew Golden's going 130th. He was a first-round pick.
that's true. But I think there is way more of a stigma against these old players.
The old
Like-
guys have stigma.
Being afraid that you're going to draft a guy the year he falls off the cliff.
You don't want to be caught holding the bag or whatever. Yeah.
No.
And so your dart throws are running backs. Like Cam Scadaboo is a pretty cheap running back. I know he just did his hamstring. He's going to get cheaper, but I'm like, Cam Scadaboo, I think the hamstring actually makes me want Scadaboo more because I think the second half of the season, he could just be a starting running back. I don't know where he's going to fall to. Woody Marks might be the starting running back for the Texans. Like you just late, you do rookie running backs.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, I really think this is going to be what my teams look like, which is really scary because they could also be horrible. Anyway, that leads to my last rule, which is just being open-minded, which maybe I'm not. But just being this is my last tattoo of just be open-minded, not just because I said don't take Joe Burrow when Joe Burrow probably would have been the MVP if they just made the fucking playoffs. But I just think that the more I do this job, the more I remember the ultimate quote for every industry, which is William Goldman, nobody
Sure.
knows anything, which is the truest thing ever. And if anyone's listening to this, like in your teens or you're in college, like the grand secret of adulthood is nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody is winging it at every possible level. Nobody has any fucking, really, it's true. No one knows what's going on. And like if you had polled NFL executives on September 25th, if Bryce Young was an NFL player, most would have said he's not an NFL player. I felt that way. Not just media, though. NFL people were like, that guy, in retrospect, is way too small. Why would you bet it? Bryce Young outplayed CJ Stroud by the end of the season. And just look at the Panthers. Sam Darnold left because he was poor play. 14 wins for the Vikings. Cut Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, second most touchdowns, second most yards. Bryce Young, they gave up on Bryce Young themselves. The Panthers gave Bryce Young, and then he came back. He was good. That's one team.
Baker Mayfield was like playing scout team defense on the fucking Panthers.
He's getting 45 million a year to be
He's
quarterback.
like rushing the passer.
Nobody, and guess what? Every
He was
team
the guy
could-
guarding Elikayo Minora in that video.
Every team could have had Baker Mayfield. It's not just that. It's like the Ravens took Hayden Hurst before they took Lamar Jackson. The point being,
Right.
none of these people know anything. This is the basis of my belief for Anthony Richardson, but it's not just me saying take Anthony Richardson. It's that for young players in tough situations, like keep an open mind to when things change. When there's a coaching situation, when there's an organization change, like 23-year-old players are not finished products. And so be wary of there's only a couple positions where we really know out of the bat if you're any good. And so I just be open-minded to stuff. And I'm trying to be more open-minded as well. But I think that when you see everyone else writing off a situation and the cost, you not only can just everyone else, I told you so. But if everyone else is just written off a situation, like just check again, because most people are wrong all the fucking time. That's it. It's my rant.
I just read that book on vacation, Goldman's book.
Yeah. Genius.
What is it?
It's called Adventures in the Screen Trade. It's written by William Goldman. That's where he says that nobody knows anything.
Nice.
Great book.
Mark
check that
Zuckerberg
out.
named his company Meta, and then I don't even know if they do that anymore.
No, they don't. They gave it.
Just
I don't actually know.
You know, I don't know.
Now it's all sunglasses, which is definitely not going to work.
Oh my God. Anyway. Okay. Any other we have one email here. Any other takeaways? All these lessons we've done 2 now. And again, we record this August 8th.
Just draft good players, man. You know?
Just take Jamar Chase. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take elite players. I really do think my big thing for fantasy this year is just don't crazy reach for players that you like, but overall keep in mind as a tiebreaker, which of these people would you rather be on your team?
Yeah,
like put them in your Happy Gilmore, like go to your happy place.
Yeah.
Like which of these guys fits there? So like for me,
who's in your happy place?
Yeah,
carrying
just
the
literally
pitchers of beer.
Put
Travis
a star
Hunt-
next to the names that you like. That's
Travis Hunter, I understand if I take Travis Hunter this year that he's going to play defense, and I might be dumb, but I'm like, if Travis Hunter is what I think he could be on someone else's team, I'm going to be like distraught that I didn't take him.
Yeah.
And like, if you have people like that, just take people you want to root for. That's all. You want to watch. Any other things on these lessons?
My dog is starting to really bother me.
Okay, cool. Well,
He
then do
wants to
one
go
email
out.
and get out of here.
Okay.
All right. This is an email from Roy.
Roy.
Arbone.
This one's simple. I was talking about having flat
All right.
the bone. I can't believe the bone thing's lasted so long.
I
I
love
really
it.
thought it'd be over by now.
I love it.
Roy said I had yogurt and an English muffin for breakfast.
Oh, nice.
Like that. Yeah, put breakfast in your emails. A couple weeks ago we were talking about how I have really flat feet. And then someone sent an email and was like, yeah, that makes sense. Heifetz looks like a guy with flat feet. What-
My dog is barking at me.
What's wrong with him?
George,
What is he
lay
mad
down.
about? What's going
He
on?
wants to go out. He just like does this thing where he barks at me. Okay, lay down. Sorry, continue. It's the most distracting thing imaginable.
He's like,
Pick him
hey.
up, put him on mic.
He's like,
look at me.
All right. My bad.
So Roy says, DK, let your dog out. Oh, no, sorry, that's the wrong one.
Pay
Roy
attention to your
says,
dog.
I have the flattest feet ever, and I have more stories that can prove it. Roy says, I once stood on the Dr. Scholl's machine at the mall that tells you what orthotic insert you need. And the
I love where this is
machine,
going.
the Dr. Scholl's machine scanned my bare feet, and the screen said, please remove your shoes.
I love it.
0 arch detected.
I thought that
Please
was-
take the 2x4s off the machine.
the shoe machine thought your feet were shoes.
That's
Is
wow.
unbelievable. He
I love
also
that.
said, when I get out of the shower and I walk around my house barefoot, my feet literally make suction cup fart noises like Squidward.
That's so funny.
They
Squidward.
suction to the floor.
Ooh.
I didn't like that.
I didn't need to hear that.
Let's shut George up real quick.
I gave you guys the heebie-jeebies there. Sorry.
That was the ick.
George just
Yeah.
became intrigued.
Oh my god. Oh Christ. Yeah. That's all. That's all I
Oh,
got.
God, the squid. Oh, the suction noise.
It's so funny.
Uh,
Heifetz, you got to get him a pair. What was the basketball shoe brand?
Oh
that
well,
you-
no, it's out of style. Ectio, but shout out
Ectio.
Brooks. The Brooks are the people with flat
Brooks.
feet know them Brooks beasts. When
you
Trump,
should start a subreddit, Heifetz.
you think I invented flat feet? Yeah, I mean I'll join it.
Start-
When Trump started talking about the tariffs,
I was saying the subreddit. I don't know.
oh,
He was like,
for
I'm
what?
not saying you invented flat feet, but you could invent the subreddit. That might not
Okay.
exist.
Oh, dude, where do you think I get all my shoe recommendations?
You guys call it.
what are the side effects of flat feet? Like, what's the problem other than the
Basic.
clopping noise?
I'm not other than the clopping. Richie Bozick texted me and said I told the story of running so loudly that he missed a layup on a transition, and he was like, everyone hit me up about that. But other than that, the side effects are basically it throws your alignment of your legs out of balance because basically I'm not walking on the same parts of my feet that you guys are, but my knees, ankles, and hips were designed to walk on the parts that I'm not walking
Right.
on. So it just like, I'm
like wear and
redistributing the weight on my ankles, knees, and hips. And so if you don't, the reason you get orthotics is to force your feet into the position your knees were designed to walk in so you don't develop like chronic problems later in life. So they're expensive, but they're worth it because it's kind of like investing in not having. Is this the most boring possible content?
Possibly.
There is a subreddit, r flat feet, 7,000 members.
Yeah.
There are 7,000 of us.
The other thing, do you guys know people's? I think my feet are two different sizes. One's like 11, one's 10 and a half.
What?
You guys don't have this?
No.
I want to find my foot pen pal.
Disgusted.
I need to find my foot
Do
pen
you buy
pal.
2 different shoe sizes?
No, but like, I'm just saying, it is a thing where people are just like, it's not crazy, but it's like I'm rounding. One's probably 10.6 and one's at 11, 10.9. But it's like one is always going to fit better. And I need to find my foot pen pal, guy who has the same size feet but opposite,
Switch.
so we can buy the same shoes and switch them. The problem is
what
my
are
feet
your sizes?
Well, the problem is my width is 4E, which isn't like a.
He's got fucking flippers.
E is wide. Double E is extra wide. Double E is extra wide. I'm 4E.
This is like the most depressing version of Cinderella's slipper ever.
The ugliest possible shoe.
4E.
Monstrosity. 4E. Dude, my favorite party trick is at the mall. I'll walk into a shoe store. I'll be like, yeah, 4E.
See if they have
employees are all confused. They've never heard of that. Like, literally, like, they've never heard of it.
For some reason, it just makes so much sense, too.
4E. Flopping around. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's really funny.
Anyone's got flat feet, email ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. I feel your pain.
Okay, get in that subreddit, Heifetz. It's a lot of x-rays. It's a lot of people posting their x-rays.
The Dr. Scholl's guy is so funny to me because literally the entire thing that they have to do is just scan feet. So the idea that machine, that should be the best machine in the world at figuring out feet versus shoes.
Yeah,
and the poor guy
not reading his feet is so
like
good.
Your feet are shoes, sir. All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Ronak. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Seriously, please. I'm like kind of begging you. Emails, follow us on Instagram, TikTok. A lot of fun stuff coming up the second half of August. Thank you for sticking with us. And of course, thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Miley Cyrus. Or hell, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Which one?
Switching up. Yeah, which one?
I don't think I've probably done Billy Ray. So Billy Ray Cyrus.
Sure.
Has he done anything since like that Old Town Road thing?
Hopefully he hasn't done anything to get himself canceled lately.
I don't know.
I don't know. I did. Well, if he did, then I'm sorry.
I think on the scale of what gets you canceled in Hollywood, he's okay.
I think the cancel thing itself has been canceled. I don't think we're canceling anymore.
Gets you periodically.
We're now only canceling people who are like truly horrible people, which I think is good.
Are we?
Yeah, I think we're canceling.
No, we're not. We're not.
Well,
not all of them.
Some people get fast forwarded.
That's true. But, in Hollywood, I guess, at least.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Like, what are we starting listing bad people?
Craig is just dancing around.
What am I going to be like? Bill Cosby? Like, what's the point of getting into that?
Sure.
Billy Ray, though.
I'm not familiar with like his actual music from earlier.
Achy Breaky Heart is the only song.
Is there any? He's not a one-hit wonder though, right? Like,
no, but I think that's the main thing he's known for.
Yeah.
Don't tell my heart. Did I nail it?
You're killing it. Keep going.
He has other songs called "Could Have Been Me," "Butterfly Fly." Oh no, that's Hannah Montana.
Dude, you know what's funny? This is the Old Town Diplo remix. Is his number?
I think it was his song from the Hannah Montana movie.
Right.
I know it's like obviously Billy Ray Cyrus's main listenership is not on Spotify. Obviously, he made music for decades before the internet, but it's funny to me that Old Town Road Diplo remix is his third song on Spotify. Like,
dude, he gets 2.8 million monthly listens.
It's probably Old Town Road.
He's been dating Elizabeth Hurley, who was a big deal.
What?
Yeah. Big deal on Austin Powers.
Fell to my knees in a Walmart.
I think they are, how do I say this? Mentally and morally aligned in very interesting and unique ways. So I think they are good fits for one another, but are a little bit kind of,
Yeah, that's a
abstract.
It's an odd couple.
Yeah.
Odd couple. Yeah.
They have very similarly unique opinions on life.
DK dropping the Gen Z slang. I just
Not Elizabeth Hurley. Come on.
fell to my knees at a Walmart. We're gonna bring
Not
back
her. Anyone but her.
It's a good time to announce we're gonna bring back the Gen Z spelling bee. Kai has been in the lab. We're gonna bring back the Gen Z spelling bee. We've talked about it, and we're gonna do a Gen Z spelling bee. Probably between
Kai's been he's been gathering them up. He's got some good ones. He
Kai's
dropped
been
a
in the lab.
really good one on us the other day.
Did he what?
Dance on it.
No, that's not
What is
it.
it called? What's it
No,
called?
DK, that's not it.
Are you saying? Are you
Jesus.
saying doing tricks on it?
Yes, that's what he's trying to refer to.
Dance on it.
Hey, I clearly didn't fucking know what it was.
Right.
But I like it.
You actually walked right into this trap of the Gen Z spelling bee. What was he? What was Kai saying?
Dance
Kai's texting. He's not doing it now because I said that. He's like, I'm fucking out. I'm out. You fucking boomer.
Kai just cringed into a coma after that.
Yeah, that was
Cringe coma.
Zero aura, negative aura.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm back, baby. Doing tricks on it.
Anyway, that bear in the zoo is for sure dead.
Dude, that bear's
So
there's
dead.
No way.
So dead, that bear.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.